Anime is a wide form of entertainment. As such, it would be improper to paint anime fans under a wide brush. Anime encompasses multiple genres, and as such, the kind of anime a fan might be interested in can change drastically. You have your shonen lovers, who don't understand why you would watch a non-action anime, meanwhile endlessly shipping the characters in My Hero Academia. The trash man who has somehow watched every single harem anime to ever exist, and reminds you that High School DxD has a good story, I swear. And the abstract fan that spends their days scrolling A, and trust me, you wouldn't know a good anime if it hit you right in the face. These are just a few examples of the wide variety of fans in the anime community. But today, I want to focus on a single kind of fan. The simple, comedy and slice of life fan. Lighthearted comedy animes that reflect real life are extremely common in anime, and surprisingly, they're kinda divisive. Some view them as uninspired, boring, and uninteresting, as they're often just about real life. And trust me, some titles in this category really don't challenge this notion. However, if you get the chance to look into the genre, you can find some of the best anime of all time, ones that made us cry, cheer, and laugh all the same. Slice of life has a hidden power that's oftentimes not discussed. The power of time. In each story, you only have so much time you can devote to telling it. This time is relative since things like TV series will have much more time than things like movies. However, what does remain consistent is that you have a limited amount of time. As such, sacrifices have to be made. To introduce an audience to a fantasy world, you have to spend time explaining it. To introduce a character, you need to spend time to do that. And for a fight, you have to spend time describing the action. For each decision, a sacrifice must be made, in time. One of the biggest keys to good media is properly striking this balance. However, this doesn't mean there aren't certain kinds of medias that have to make these sacrifices. Fantasy needs to world build. Good luck making a shonen anime without action, or a horror anime without building up suspense. This is where a slice of life's hidden strength lies. It doesn't need to build a world, since it takes place in the real world. It doesn't need to have action. But when it does, holy shit. This limited scope allows it to focus on whatever aspect it wants, to which it almost always puts into characterization and development. This brings us to one of the most popular, no, the most popular anime of the late 2000s, Haruhi Suzumiya, the story about a young, moody, and melancholic teenage girl who isn't aware that she's a god. And her friends who have to deal with her whims and hope that she doesn't accidentally destroy the entire universe. You might not think it's a slice of life, but it actually is, as the characters battle to find a sane life through the insanity. It also importantly has all the advantages a slice of life would have. Finally, it's marked under mal, so I'm counting it. It's my video! Considering how popular it was, I'm honestly surprised how little people have ever heard of the anime. And I'm a bit suspicious when people who are anime fans claim they've never heard of the series before.
But how can you? That's a burden that only I here carry. Time. I've seen this power in the wrong hands. It corrupts, consumes, lays waste to civilizations.
One of the things I'm really trying to drive home here with this series is just how big it was. Yet despite this, you might be wondering, why haven't I heard about it before? Or why haven't I been recommended it? If you look on Mal, you see the series has a 7.8-ish rating for both seasons? Certainly not a bad rating, but not a fantastic one either. How did an anime so popular that it dominated cons get put in the timeout corner to never be spoken of again? Well, that's because it's nearly impossible to recommend to others, thanks to an arc called the Endless 8. The arc occurred in Season 2, a 14-episode long season, of which 8 of the episodes are the exact same episode over and over again, animated each time. How can you understand the pain of this insanity? Am I on episode 4 or 8? I don't know. All post-traumatic stress disorder aside, The Endless Eight is an arc about an endless loop the main characters get trapped in, each time forgetting about the previous loop and being unaware that they are in the loop. The Endless Eight caused a strain on the fan base around the show. Even today, you can still see and feel the ripples. Ask a fan of the show about it and just watch them stare off into space and experience flashbacks. So why would a studio ever do something like this? Well, it's because the studio ran out of time. Since they converted a good portion of the season into a movie, they had to convert the rest of it into more Endless Eight. So understand, the decision was completely practical and not artistic. On the bright side, however, the episodes that were removed were turned into a movie called The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. And wow, this was a good movie. For the longest time, it was actually the highest rated anime movie on MAL until Your Name came and replaced it. Well, the plot is about the world's sudden and dramatic change, rewriting all the events of the series and the main character Kyon's attempt to revert it. What makes the movie so powerful is its focus on characters and their emotion towards the events of the series, and also acts as a commentary towards it. Thus, acts as a great finale for the series. Where Kyon is the focus, there is actually another character that also is explored in the movie, Nagato Yuki, the emotionless, quiet girl who is also revealed to be the main antagonist of the movie. Nagato Yuki is the quiet girl of the main group, but she's also the strangest. She was made from an unknown entity to watch Haruhi, so in a lot of ways, she's still learning to be human herself. She doesn't often get excited or have fun, but when she does, it's a great change of pace for both the characters and the audience. While not being a human character, she's an over-exaggeration of awkward and quiet people you might meet in real life. And as a beloved character in the cast, the audience has time to learn to love. While writing a villain, there are multiple approaches that can be taken, but one of the most interesting is called the conflicted creator. A conflicted creator is defined by being an antagonist without villainous motives, and Nagato matches this definition perfectly. Nagato became tired of the life that she had, constantly having to monitor Haruhi and being relied on by the rest of her friends, which is what encouraged her to change the world in her frustration to one where she can be normal. Conflicted creators, however, are extremely difficult to write, as their motives need to make sense and sync with the audience emotionally. As such, backstory is almost an integral part of any conflicted creator. This balance can be normally hard to strike, however, as with everything going on in the story, there isn't a lot of time to create a compelling backstory for your villain. However, Haruhi Suzumiya has the advantage of time, and as such, there's not actually just one episode devoted to telling her backstory, but 8 of them. The main character of the Endless Eight is not Haruhi or Kyon, but actually Nagato. While the other characters are able to forget about their experiences in the loop, Nagato can't. In fact, she's forced to remember, and isn't allowed to interfere, having to live through the same loop 1,500 times. By the time of the movie, we understand her frustration, and the pain that she's going through, making her a relatable antagonist. For just 3 hours, we get to see the world through her eyes. And as such, we're not surprised by her actions, even if we can't say that they're right. This conflict is what makes her such a good antagonist, and perhaps the best that anime has to offer. Don't get me wrong, this might not make the Endless Eight a good arc, or even worth watching, as you can still see the scars that it left today, and perhaps might just leave a series that could have been immortal to be forgotten about. I'm also not saying that this had intentionality behind it. What I am saying is that if you stick with the series and the story, you can find one of the most relatable antagonists that media has ever had to offer, using one of anime's greatest mistakes to create one of anime's greatest masterpieces. I'm America Jin. Thanks for watching.